Yep. The book is by Bernadette Jiwa. Now, please raise your hand or say yes in the chat box if you really want to be a great influencer and if you want people to actually take action on what you said. Raise your hand. Fantastic. And I am fascinated about storytelling because even before we started learning using PowerPoint, which came up last 20 years, thousands of years ago, people talked about stories. You know, they carved so many things on the walls. They used to convey through only stories. So, Bernadette Jiwa, let me tell you about this author quickly. Now, who is she? She's an authority on business philosophy and brand storytelling. She helps notable brands and entrepreneurs tell the truth about their business, humanize process, and elevate their position in an extremely busy marketplace. Right now, her credentials are author of seven number one amazing bestsellers, created the marketing model, the fortune cookie principle, and spoke about this and the secret of spreading ideas at TEDx, founded the story of telling and works as a brand strategist and brand naming consultant. The story of telling blog, gentlemen, you should actually visit this blog. It's an amazing blog. I know each one of us has amazing message to share with the world, whether you're a speaker, trainer, coach, or whoever it is. You really want to become an influencer, and you can become a great influencer only through storytelling. And she's the founder of The Right Company, a digital hub for entrepreneurs to share ideas and experiences. So the facts about Bernadette Jiwa is she grew up in Dublin, Ireland, which is ideally in her book, she says it is known as the city of storytellers or the country of storytellers, Ireland. Irish people are great storytellers, it seems. That's written in her book. And currently she's living in Melbourne, Australia. So Bernadette's fascination with brand storytelling began at the age of 10. So that's quick about the author. Now, stories are the most persuasive technology. That's what Bernadette Jiva says. Uh, and using five C's to outline your stories. So, what are those five C's? Number one is context, catalyst, complication, change, and consequence. In her book, she is amazingly written on basically this book, What Great Storytellers Know. Right? That's what the book name is. She says she has written seven skills to become your most influential and inspiring self. Right? And on the cover page, there is a testimonial from Seth Godin, which says, "This is the first book you should read when you are ready to share an idea with the world." Beautiful one-liner it is. You know? Yeah, this is the first book that you should read when you are ready to share an idea with the world. So um, these are five C's, guys, which is outlined. If you have to prepare a story or prepare a speech or write something as a keynote for 40 minutes, this is the format that each one of us need to follow. Five C's to outline your stories: context, catalyst, complication, change, and consequence. She has given beautiful examples in the book. She talked about what is a good story and what is a great story. You know the difference. The good story tells. People only tell the story. You know, we have been hearing, right? We have been telling this. Everybody was telling us, parents, teachers, to do this, to do that. But a great story engages people, right? And good story informs. I know, I'm sure you understand that information is everywhere these days. You want to learn something, just go Google it, find it on internet. It's available. But great story moves people to action, move people to make that change in their life. Right, that's what great story is. And the good story chronicles events. You know, we just describe about the events and all, but great stories invest people in outcome, right? That is more important. And good story changes how we think, right? And great story changes how we feel and what we do. Amazingly explained, isn't it? So this is the difference between good stories and great stories. Now let me quickly open up few bookmarks which I've actually uh, marked it on Kindle. Now, great storytellers develop a set of seven skills. and how you can develop them to become your most inspiring and influential self. So, gentlemen, great storytellers, she shares in her book, which great storytellers know, is these seven things. No, can you please complete the sentence? The best storytellers are. What do you think? You can type in the chat, comment section, or you can just come onto the camera and say something. Unmute yourself. The best storytellers are who?
Authentic.
I'm sorry, authentic. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Now let's see the best storytellers. These are the seven things, seven qualities which she mentions about best storytellers or great storytellers. First is they're present. They're present in the moment. And second one is awareness. Third one is they're very specific. They're very specific on what is the kind of outcome that the storytellers want people to come out with. Four is they're vulnerable. So, gentlemen, vulnerability is strength. Okay, it's not a weakness. That's what Bernadette Jiwa says. And we have also heard it in our PSS 2021 by Andy Lopata, which says vulnerability is strength, right? Brené Brown is one of the another author or speaker or TEDx speaker, whatever you call it. She's the authority on vulnerability. And fifth one is empathetic. Great storytellers are empathetic. And six, they are intentional. They are intentional. And number seven is they are brave as well. So these are the seven amazing qualities a great storytellers has and must have, right? And one of the bookmark which I have mentioned is being a great storyteller is about learning how to build connection and trust with your audience. That is the most important thing. I repeat again, being a great storyteller is about learning how to build connection and trust with your audience, right? Now, the other thing which Bernadette Jiwa has mentioned, the author has mentioned in her book, I was like fascinated to read this chapter. The best storytellers are great listeners, right? Most of the time, as a speakers or influencers, we just try to speak and just say our things, but they are great listeners and first class noticers. Now, what did you understand by first class noticers? That means they keep their ears and eyes open, right? They keep their ears and eyes open, and that's how they record whatever they see, whatever they listen. They collect those stories, right? So stories are, she says, stories are all around us. How to act like a storyteller and reclaim your attention. So these are some of the points, gentlemen, which I thought I'll share it with you. The number one is see with your ears as well as your eyes. So, as I said, one of the thing is great listeners and great noticers, right? So keep your eyes and ears open to capture amazing stories around you. She says every day there are so many stories around us that we miss, right? You got to have a eye for detail. That's what she says. And she says, remove your earbuds. So probably she's trying to figure out, trying to tell us that, just remove the earbuds and keep listening to the stories of people. Leave your phone at home or switch it off. And number four, listen for stories in everyday conversations, in cafes and stores, on public transport. Guys, there is this interesting chapter which I have read in this book, What Great Storytellers Know. There's this couple who goes to a coffee shop, right? They just sit across each other. They order a cup of coffee, and this lady notices another couple. There's something happening on this table. Okay, probably she's a little upset with her spouse and something, and she starts guessing on why she is upset, right? That's how it starts, and during their conversation, she listens to the conversation, and she comes up with a book. She comes up with an actual book just by listening to others' conversation. I mean, it's an amazing chapter. How by opening up and keeping your ears and eyes open, how you can record other people's stories, right? So she says, stay curious, look for unfamiliar. She says, take a new route, create a notebook, sorry, carry a notebook. So we have a digital notebook these days. So do please carry something so that you can record these stories. The other thing is watch how people interact with their environment and each other. Right. So these are some of the points which I'm sharing, but there are many, many others. Each chapter is a amazing golden nugget. I would say platinum nugget for at least people like me who are fascinated about storytelling and how do you really put across your message very powerfully and emotionally so that it moves people into action, so that your message not only gets into their mind, but it should stick in their heart. Right. The next one, which I highlighted in the book, which I want to share is, and in the same way, if you're going to become a better storyteller, you need material to work with before you can begin. Luckily, the material is all around us, all around you, often going unheard, unnoticed, or unmarked upon as you go about your day. It's up to you to grab it. So yes, right from probably the vegetable vendor who comes at your doorstep to sell vegetables, we can learn so much from just by observing others, right? Uh, Let me move on to the next one. Okay. When you're present, we see stories all around us. That's what she says. Being present is one of the qualities of a great storytellers. When we are present, we see stories all around us. We allow openings for ideas to enter our imagination. We fill our creative well and find the impetus to begin telling and learning from everyday stories. So I have shared that there are stories all around you, and these are the things that you need to do. Don't trust your memory, but please carry a notebook or a digital notebook so that you can record. You can either voice record and capture those stories and keep it, right? Now, outline your story. Use the 5 C's in the following questions. Right? We have already talked about the 5 C's. Remember context and complex and all that. So the next thing is you should ask these stories. What is connecting theme of your story? Who is the hero or heroine? What situation they are in, what happens to them, what do they do, what's in their way, how do they succeed or why do they fail. So how are they changed, why will the listener care about this story, how do you want the listener to feel at the end of the story. I think there's many famous speakers who keep telling us about know feel do, KFD. It's what do you want people to know? What do you want people to feel through your talk, through your keynote, through your message, and what do you want them to do? This is an amazing book. I'm fascinated. There are many other books which Bernadette Jiwa has actually authored. Uh, so let me. Okay, there's a highlight which I mentioned about. Remember that coffee shop and husband and wife goes for a coffee. There is a distinction between natural ability and acquired ability. The skills that make a great storytellers are curiosity and openness, gentlemen. So great storytellers are curious and their openness. And she says Irish people are the noisiest people on the planet. Uh, so she says they're not afraid to ask questions or strike up a conversation, probably in a public transport or supermarket. Irish people always want to know your story. So she talked about there's a little about Ireland and Irish people and how they are great storytellers in this book, which Bernadette has written. And the other thing which I want to share is stories literally help us build biological and emotional common ground. It is our makeup, our physiology that enables us to empathize and be persuaded by stories. This physiological connection between head and heart is the reason stories work. That's what the author says in her book. She has got some amazing examples on why these stories work. She talked about the amygdala. How many of you know amygdala? Amygdala is a part of emotional center of the brain, right? It is our brain's gatekeeper. It's constantly filtering signals and stimulating a response preparing us to react or respond, to flee when we are threatened, or empathize when we are emotionally engaged. So I found this book amazingly interesting. Actually, this book was recommended, not the book, basically the author was recommended by Praveen. If you all remember, I was asking, Praveen, do you know any books where I can learn storytelling? Where I can really learn amazing. I want to become a great storyteller. So before I end, let me quickly share this statement. When we are empathetic, we tell our stories in the service of others. We understand that our stories serve a purpose, and we can tell them from a place of generosity. So I told you about the seven qualities of great storytellers, and each quality she has actually has chapters in this book on how do you really be that, be present, being empathetic, and all that. And being empathetic is nothing but be curious, listen, not to wait your turn to speak, but to understand. Avoid judgments, ask questions, widen your circle, examine your biases, read and research, get to know your audience, describe the change your audience wants to make, decide how you hope the audience will be changed by having heard your story. So I just love this book. So yeah, these are the things which I found in the book to be very interesting. The book name again for you, ladies and gentlemen, is What Great Stories. Just a second. What Great Storytellers Know by Bernadette Jiwa. Thank you so much for listening.